This is Pastor Bellow, and you must be wondering, why is he being chased and how he got here? Well, I am wondering too. Before we get into the story of how Pastor Bellow's empire crumbled, I would like you to please press the subscribe and like button to show me your support. It is totally free to subscribe, and it's a way to show me that you enjoy this channel. Please also comment where you are watching from in the comment section of this video. Now, let's get into our story. Desi.
I wanna let you money forward. Yeah. Lord, you reign in glory, shining bright and true. Your love surrounds us daily. Your grace is ever new. We lift our voices higher.
In Lagos, Pastor Bellow was a man whose name brought both admiration and envy. His church was known for its wealth and influence. The main building in Ikeja was massive, shining brightly with golden decorations and sparkling lights. Every Sunday, thousands of people came through its gates, hoping for miracles and promises of a better life. Pastor Bellow was the face of it all. He wore elegant robes, his wrist adorned with expensive watches, and his garage filled with luxury cars like Rolls Royces and Bentleys. His sermons were more like shows, mixing Bible verses with dramatic acts. People cried and cheered at his so-called miracles. "Faith brings prosperity," was his favorite saying, and he repeated it often. He told people that their blessings depended on what they gave: money, property, or other sacrifices. Those who gave generously were promised wealth and success. Those who didn't were warned of bad luck and curses. But behind the grand image, there was a dark side. Pastor Bellow preyed on vulnerable people. He targeted grieving widows, lonely women, and those desperate for help, convincing them to give away their wealth. To some, he seemed like a holy man. To others, he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. One of his victims was Ada Chuku, the widow of a retired general. Ada had lived a comfortable life, but her husband's death left her heartbroken. In her sadness, she turned to the church, hoping to find peace. Pastor Bellow noticed her right away. During a service, he called her forward, claiming he had a message from God. "The spirit of your late husband is blocking your blessings," he said. "You must give a special offering to cleanse your household." Blinded by grief and desperate for relief, Ada followed his instructions. She transferred 50 million naira to the church, believing it would bring her blessings. But instead of blessings, her troubles grew worse. Her money ran out, and when she returned to Pastor Bellow for help, he dismissed her, saying her faith wasn't strong enough. That rejection woke Ada up. She began to question everything: the pastor's promises, his wealth, and the so-called miracles that never seemed real. Ada was not just a grieving widow, she was also a smart and determined woman. She decided to investigate. She hired a private detective and started speaking to other women in the church. Many had stories just like hers. What she found was shocking. The pastor's miracles were fake, with actors pretending to be healed. His visions came from information gathered by his staff, who listened to people's private conversations. He even had a secret room in the church where he lured women under the pretense of spiritual cleansing. Ada realized she wasn't alone. Many women had been exploited. Some lost their life savings. Others were left ashamed and broken. Furious, Ada decided that exposing him wasn't enough. She wanted to stop him for good. She began building a team. She reached out to influential people in Lagos, former church leaders and journalists. Armed with recordings, photos, and testimonies, she planned to reveal the truths and take back the church's wealth for the people it had exploited. Her chance came during a big church event called the Night of Wonders. The service was being streamed live across Nigeria. The church was full, and Pastor Bellow was on stage, declaring blessings for everyone. Ada entered the church dressed elegantly in green lace. She wasn't alone. She brought journalists church trustees, and some of the women Pastor Bellow had, Ada took the microphone. Her voice was calm but firm. "Pastor Bellow, your time of deception is over. Today the truth will come out." Before he could respond, she pointed to the large screens behind him. Evidence began to play. Recordings of his lies, videos of fake miracles, and photos of him entering hotels with women from the church. The congregation gasped in shock. Pastor Bellow tried to defend himself, shouting, "This is an attack from the devil." Ada didn't back down. "No, Pastor. This is an attack on the devil pretending to be a pastor." The church fell silent. Then Ada turned to the crowd. "This church belongs to you. It's time to take it back." The church's board of trustees stepped forward. With the evidence in hand, they removed Pastor Bellow from his position and froze the church's accounts. Ada then announced her plan. The church's wealth would be used to help victims of fraud and abuse. At first, the congregation was stunned, but soon they began to cheer. Pastor Bellow tried to escape, but security stopped him. By the next day, the news was everywhere. Pastor Bellow's empire collapsed. His luxury cars were taken away, his properties seized, and he was banned from leading any church. The church, now under new leadership, was transformed. Its resources were used to support the poor and vulnerable. Ada became the head of a new foundation to help victims of exploitation. When asked why she didn't push for Pastor Bellow's arrest, she said, "True justice isn't just about staring down. It's about building something better." And so, the man who built his fortune on lies saw it turned into a legacy of justice and hope. The moral of the story is that truth and justice prevail when courage meets determination. It highlights the importance of standing up against exploitation, exposing deceit, and using power and resources to rebuild and uplift others. It also emphasizes that true leadership and faith are about service and integrity, not personal gain or manipulation.